Hey guys, it's Helen Hart Smith here again from the Heart of the Witch's Path YouTube channel. Hope you're having an awesome day. I'm coming at ya with what I hope everyone will find an interesting video. It's an idea that I was inspired by when I was at a wedding, and I'll kind of go into that whole thing later. But it got me thinking, as witches, and as someone who is considered clergy, I have been thinking about and having conversations with various people over the last couple of years. And as clergy starts thinking about servicing pagan members in hospitals or in hospice or in long-term care, things like that, we have to get a little bit creative with what we use for representations of the elements. And so that's partially what got me thinking about this subject. And then I also got to thinking about it because I have set up in my sacred space, I have individual altars for earth, air, fire, and water. And so of course, you need to kind of think, well, what types of things do I want to put on an altar like that? You can also have elemental altars during ritual. And so what types of things do we kind of think about when we think about each of those elements? And so I thought, well, some things are pretty gotcha ideas, while others, sometimes we might need to get a little creative. And so I thought that I would do this video. I came up with some list of things that I use as alternative or replacement elemental personifications. And so I thought I would share with you my thoughts. And so I'm going to break this down. This video is going to be set up so we're going to cover one element at a time. So this is going to be elemental replacements or elemental representations, and you can use it for whatever purpose you feel you need to. All right, so let's jump in and do the first element. Okay. Okay, guys, hopefully this isn't like too weird of an angle or anything like that, but we're gonna play around with this and see. I'm trying to make it pretty to show y'all. So as you can see, I've got what you might want to consider a little altar set up here. And as you can guess, it might be for the element air. As you can see, I've got this cute little altar cloth that I made that actually has little chickens on it. I loved it. I'm not a chicken person, but I saw this material and I thought it's nice and bright and sunny. I like to use this either for air or I like to use it as a litha altar cloth. So there's that. So yes, so this is some items that you can use to represent air in a ritual or in spell work, or if you're trying to cast a circle or different things like that. So let's see, let's start with the obvious. Here we have the air sign. This is a really simple thing that you can do to bring the element air into your space. This is an image that I just Googled. I want to say it was like air elemental picture or something along those lines. And I actually found, you'll see as I go through each of the elements, you'll see one for each of them that I was able to find. And then I just printed them. Now you could leave, this is just copy paper, printer paper. You could print it on that. You could put it on cardstock. You can frame it. You could laminate it if you like to do something like that. So this is a really, like I said, a really easy way to bring air into your area. Feathers are another really popular thing that folks will use. It's really purposeful to use a feather if you're burning something. So of course, incense is the number one thing that we think of when we're looking at the element air and using it. And a lot of times folks will use a feather and they'll, direct the incense smoke with that. But by itself, feathers are a really great thing to use for air. So there's that. And here we have, I mentioned in the beginning of the video, I mentioned something that kind of sparked this whole idea. I was at a wedding and these are bubbles that were passed out to each of the guests, and we were supposed to blow bubbles when the bride and groom kissed. And so it got me thinking, I'm like, wow, this is a really great air elemental sign because, you use air to fill it. And I was actually kind of hashing this idea out with a coworker, and we kind of came to the conclusion that bubbles could also be used for water if you wanted to. It could also be used for earth because soap is kind of like an earthy type item. And I don't think we really came up with anything that you could use this for fire. But I suppose, if you wanted to find a way, or if something came to you, then you could definitely use that. But I thought that this would be kind of a neat thing to use around children, or, used sparingly in a hospital room or something of that nature. That would be a nice air element representation. So that's what got this whole thing started. You'll also notice here that I have a pen, and a pen, pen is power because we write down our thoughts and ideas, which is of course centered around and connected with air. So a pen, this happens to be one of my favorite pens. So a pen could also be used for air. I like to use a singing bowl. This is my singing bowl. Really pretty. I like to use this as an air representation because whenever I make petitions in a prayer type form, I will oftentimes use this as a means of carrying my prayers or petitions or affirmations or what have you to the appropriate source that I want to hear it. So this is a favorite air elemental representation of mine. And this generally lives right on my altar, so I can, use it whenever I need to. One final thing that's really popular is the use of sprays. And I have a few sprays here. Two of them are these two. These two are from Dorothy Morrison's line. I will go ahead and kind of hold that up. Rich Bitch for bringing prosperity. And of course, Spontaneous Combustion. This is a great cut and clear spray. This is a great thing to use if you want to clear space, if you're about to do a ritual, or if you're in a new space and you don't know the space. This is a great way to kind of clear things for your use and intention. And then this other one here, this is from Jackie Smith's line. Oh, excuse me, sneeze. It's been brewing. I'm so sorry. This is from Jackie Smith's line, as I said, and this is Ninja Power, and this is a protection spray. So sprays are a really good way to bring air into your space. It's a really popular thing. A lot of people are using sprays in lieu of incense or smudge sticks. It's something it's not burning. They do tend to have a smell. So if you're sensitive to smells, you might want to check them out before you purchase them. I know that all of these definitely have a scent to them. But if it is too much for you, then of course you can always make your own as well. They're really easy to make. All you need is a spray bottle, which you can find in a dollar store or in a travel section at some place like Meijer or Walmart or Target, an empty bottle. Excuse me, that sneeze just like drew up some things in me. But if you use distilled water and then your favorite essential oils, you can make a blend that's all your own. And so that's kind of nice to make something of your own and put your own power into it as you're making it. So here we have some suggestions that I have for representing the air element. And this isn't all. These, I just wanted to pick a few so that I wasn't here talking for, 10 hours. So here is air. Let's move on to the next element. All right, so here we have some fire representations. This one was kind of fun for me personally because I am a fire sign. So of course we have our fire sign that, again, I downloaded off the internet and printed. Something you can put in a frame or not, or laminate, whatever you'd like to do, something along those lines. Fire as an element is all about our desires and our passion. And so I think that for a fire representation, you can definitely use pictures of things that you're passionate about or things that you desire to do. For instance, this is off my fire altar and I really, really want to visit Ireland. And so this is a picture that a friend took when they were there at Stonehenge. And so this is kind of a reminder to me that I want to go there one day. So that is definitely a representation for me. We also have sun. You can use sun representations in lieu of fire. You could also use rainbows or thunderbolts too. So if you've got some Harry Potter paraphernalia with some thunderbolts on it, then you could use that for sure as a fire representation. A really popular fire representation are these flameless candles. They're all over nowadays and they come in various sizes and colors and finishes. You'll see that the star one here is actually foil. Now I pick these up a lot of times from the dollar store. So that's a fun place that you can pick these up. And I even have a taper candle that I didn't grab, but I mean, it's like the size of a taper candle, like 6 or 8 inches or whatever. So flameless candles are a great way. We use these for outside rituals and if we were traveling somewhere, things like that, somewhere where you can't have an open flame, this is definitely the next best thing. Also, lamps and lanterns are a good representation for fire because, of course, it's got that fire aspect in it. And this is one that I actually picked up. It's another flameless. It's battery operated, but I must have picked this up around Samhain time, Halloween time. But this is definitely something, and you could use a real lamp or lantern if you wanted to and just not light it. But that would be really nice on a fire altar, okay? And then the last thing I have here is a succulent plant. Succulents grow well with little water in arid desert type areas. So a succulent or a cactus, that would be a great plant, great way to bring something living onto your fire altar. So here we have some fire representations. Okay, here we are with some water suggestions. Of course, here we have our little printed water element. I actually really like this one. I like the two tones, how the textures and things like that work with this one. I like all of these, but, and I probably will, I'm thinking about framing them and using them on my elementals, but this one, I really like the textures that are there. So there's our water sign. Of course, you can think about shells. On a water altar. They come from water, so why wouldn't you use them? Another fun thing would be water entity statues like a mermaid or fish or sharks or octopus or anything like that. That would be a great thing for a water representation. The most popular form, of course, would be a vessel of water like this one here. Nice clear glass, very beautiful and simplistic looking. The moon is associated with the water sign. And so I have, let me turn this off so you can, there we go. Okay, hold on. This is my LED rechargeable moon that I received as a Yule gift from Kathy. And so this, because of its link with water, a moon representation like this on a water altar would be a wonderful addition. You could do pictures, you could do artwork, you could do stained glass pieces, anything like that for any of these, honestly. And then another thing that I thought would be really cute is I have this piece of driftwood that I have literally had for years since I lived in the UP where I was going to college. So this is a piece of driftwood that I found on the beach of Lake Superior. So this is something that I've had forever and a day, and that would be a great representation to put on a water altar or use for water. There's also a couple of other ideas that I thought that I would share that I didn't have them, but I thought I'd go ahead and mention them. A fish in a bowl would be a great thing to put on a water altar or use for water representation. An aloe plant is also a really cool plant that you could use to represent water. So here we have water. Okay, and finally, here we have an earth altar of representations. Here we have our earth sign. I really like this one because you've got like the leaf texture in the background, and then the actual sign has like a wood bark texture to it. So that one's really cool. I love coins, and I have a lot of coins. I don't necessarily, like, I don't consider myself a collector, but I like them. So these are a great thing for earth representations. I've got a couple of the more recent, like Sacagawea, and they did a few of the presidents. Like this one is Andrew Jackson. So those are dollars. I have a couple of Kennedy 50-cent pieces. This is an international coin. I think that was from Mexico. I don't remember. I've got a Mercury dime that's great to use in spell work. And I don't know about you guys, but in Michigan here, when you go to any tourist place, they have these penny presses, and I'm addicted to them. It's like 50 cents, and you have to have your own penny, and then it's imprinted with wherever you're at. So like this one is from Tawas, when we went to Tawas last summer. I know I've got a ton of Mackinac Island. Oh, I got a couple here from when we went to Hell, Michigan. That's so awesome. So those would be great earth representations. Of course, you can go super in your face kind of thing and do a bowl of dirt or sand. That's a great idea. Or a bowl of salt. That would be a really great idea too. Rocks are always a great representation for earth. And I've got a few here that I always leave out. These aren't necessarily any like crystals, or these are just some good old rocks. But I do have one here that has a fossil in it. So that's kind of neat. So that's definitely that's an oldie, and that's something really good. Here, let me kind of get that in the frame a little bit. This is some really great stuff to use for earth. Another good representation would be either silk or real flowers. They grow in the earth, so why not use them? I think I had, you could use a globe. That would also be a really neat representation for earth. Or you could use like a map if you needed something that was flatter in nature. You can use any kind of plant for an earth representation because they grow there. So that's kind of obvious. So there are some earth representations for you. Okay, well, I hope you found that entertaining. It was fun for me to come up with that list, and then it was even more fun to like scout around my house and find the different ideas that I had. I thought that I would add, just as a general note here at the end, that if you could also use the tarot cards on your elemental altars, because each of the 4 suits go with one of the elements. So that's always something that you could do as well. And you can also, if you work with animal totems and if you use them in the directions, you could also put representations of those animals on the altars like I've done with mine. So there you go. What are you using for elemental altars or elemental replacements or different things like that? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. It was really fun to put together, like I said. If you haven't done so already, please hit the subscribe button. This is Convocation Week, so you're going to get this during Convocation Week, probably right before I leave. So it's going to be a pretty quiet week here on the channel. I've only got a couple of videos planned, but hopefully I'll have lots of stuff to share when I get back from con. So leave a comment. If you want to email me, do so at Heart of the Witch's Path. Check out my Instagram, Heart of the Witch's Path, because I'll probably be posting stuff there from con. And yeah, that's it. So thanks for walking the path for a little while with me. Until next time, blessed be.